Zarellia here, but you guys can just call me Z for those of you that do not know me. I am a Twitch streamer over on Twitch, owner of the Madhouse. And today I've got something pretty awesome for you guys. During one of my Twitch streams, we dove into this crazy Reddit D&D story about this one guy's year-long campaign of hell. There were 8 parts, and today we are going to be reading parts 1 through 3, and then I'll upload another video with the remainder. But trust me on this one's got some twists and you won't see coming. So sit back, relax, and let's check it out together. I think you're gonna love it.
I can't read with that happening. I'm not able to read when you guys do that.
Alright, hello everyone. I'd like to share my story with you. Warning, English is not my first language, so I might make words or grammar mistakes, and my writing might not be as good as I want it to be. I have always dreamt of playing D&D since I was a teenager. Unfortunately, I was very shy and friendless in my youth, so I couldn't find a group. As the years passed, I gave up on that dream and completely forgot about this. The story begins in April 2023. I'm 31 years old. I have watched the movie D&D Honor Among Thieves. In a movie theater with a group of friends, my wish to find a group and to live an epic adventure shined once more. A longtime friend of mine, let's call him Joe, wants to play D&D as well, so we decide to find a D&D group together. 1 week later, Joe announces to me that his coworker is currently seeking 2 players to join his D&D group. Obviously, I agree to join on the spot. Joe gives me the DM's phone number. We will call him Jake. I contact Jake, and we make a phone call. Jake seemed to be very passionate about D&D, available and willing to answer any question that I might ask. He presented himself as a 10-year-long experienced player and DM in D&D. He also presented himself as being chaotic neutral. We spend some hours discussing about the rules in the campaign. We will play D&D 5th edition. At that time, he was already running the same campaign with another group for 2 years and a half. OP, 2 years and a half? We need to play as long in order to finish the campaign? Okay, so far in April of last year, 2023, 31-year-old man wants to do a D&D group. His coworker and friend Joe gets him in contact with Jake, who claims to be a 10-year-long veteran player and DM for D&D. So their first phone call. All of you are stuck here. You are stuck in the madhouse. Anyways, so first phone call. Jake tells the poster that they were running the same campaign for 2.5 years with a different group. So poster's like, 2.5 years? Do we need to play as long in order to finish the campaign? This is a very long campaign, Jake says. They are not even close to finishing it, but that's because we play once per month. He then tells me that he homebrewed a huge world in which we will have a freedom to go where we please, do as we want. Sounds fun. I thought it was a sandbox campaign. How wrong I was. Then he tells me about the characters in the group. With Joe, we are 5 players. The other 3 players are the Warlock, Joe's friend and co-worker, the Monk, Warlock's wife, the Warrior, Warlock's longtime friend. Everyone in his early or mid-30s in this group. They have already done 2 sessions, and their characters will soon arrive in a port city. This is where our characters will all meet. All of them are beginners too. They had their first ever session 2 months ago and just turned level 2. Yeah, the campaign's rhythm is 1 session per month. Regarding the campaign, he told me he runs a deadly difficult campaign. At the time I didn't understand what he meant, but he meant by deadly, so I asked him. Jake, it means that the fights and encounter are over deadly, but don't worry. You guys will start in beginner's difficulty for the first 4 or 5 sessions. Once you've learned the rules and how your character works, this is going to be fun. At the time, I didn't say anything because I thought he knew what he was doing, but I couldn't help but ask myself, why did he not seek experienced or veteran players if he wants to run a deadly campaign? Also, after we spent some time discussing about the rules and seeing the 180 pages long document about the basic rules, I was very skeptical about me learning the rules in only 4 or 5 sessions, yet being able to play at deadly difficulty. But regardless, I was willing to give it a try. Jake, by the way, we need a healer. I still don't know what Joe is going to do, so I think it's going to be you. Poster, to be honest, I wanted to play a wizard. Is there a wizard subclass capable of healing? Jake, unfortunately no, but I can create one. This is how my first ever character, a level 2 homebrewed white wizard, was created. The DM created a new magic school. That was very cool of him, and I was very excited to start
Oracle
playing.
brought 3 guests to our tea party.
Okay, so character is created, and now we are doing session 1. 1 week later, we meet up in a warlock and monk's house for our first session together. Everyone seems to be amicable, polite, and easygoing. Joe ended up playing a cleric. Our characters meet in a port city, let's call it Sea City. A demon is burning alive citizens, and some political figures have promised 5,000 gold for anyone who manages to kill it. We make a lot of roleplay, we joke a lot, and then the first issue begins. The dice rolls, the rules, and the character sheets. Okay, we all struggle to figure out what dice to roll, so it always put a pause in the game anytime Jake asks for it. He takes his time to explain, but he loses patience very fast. He ended up comparing all of us to children. The tone was friendly, of course, but not friendly enough in my taste. Okay, so we end the session by fighting a goblin horde who invade the city. We fight alongside a lot of NPCs. Despite nearly dying, we managed to defeat them by making allied NPCs target the chiefs and the banners. I quickly realized that all the NPCs who fought with us were rivals for the hunt of the demon, and all of them were a lot stronger than any of the players. So, session 2 begins. Poster, the warlock, and the monk start to learn how characters work, but they still struggle sometimes. However, Joe and the warrior both struggle a lot more. Jake is more insistent about comparing us to children. I could tell he was very frustrated. We ally with one of the rival NPCs, a level 5 ranger, at least since he could attack 2 times in a round. Mind you, we are level 2. We end up killing the demon who screamed that monk was a traitor. It turns out that the monk has amnesia and isn't talkative at all, so I start doubting her. The same thing happens with the warlock, who has a connection with a mysterious patron. Warlock refuses to tell us his name, but asks us to follow him in his path. Again, I start doubting him as well. Session 3. Joe didn't come to play this day. The DM brought his girlfriend to watch us play. We will call her Susie. Oh, that's right, that bitch. I didn't mind her at all despite she wasn't invited. She's not a player yet. The issue with Susie, she intervenes a lot and breaks the immersion, even telling us what to do sometimes. The story progresses. We took the demon's head and make our way back to the city. We get betrayed by the ranger, but we managed to capture him. We then got robbed by 2 other NPCs, but managed to keep the demon's head. We finally get paid 5,000 gold, but there is an issue. The gold is fake and completely useless. The political figures that we talked to and who promised us the 5,000 gold were actually imposters. Dun dun dun. We then realize there's a plot to kill some noble families in Sea City. One of his members come to us and ask for help in a promise of a large sum. We accept to protect her, but then we are purchased by 2 high-level assassins, both level 14 according to the DM. We nearly died, but we escaped on a ship with the help of a captain who owns it. Session 4. Joe didn't come to play again. It turns out the captain who helped us was actually a pirate. Shocker. He holds us hostage on the ship with dozens mind-controlled minions and didn't take the direction that we expected. He was driving us to a strange, isolated island. We end up killing him nonetheless. That's where our first argument happened. You see, Jake expects the Warlock to do a lot of damage. However, the Warlock playstyle is more focused on himself staying alive. So Jake was hungry and told him that we almost TPK'd because I'm going to say angry. So Jake was angry and told him that we almost TPK'd because of the Warlock mistakes. At this point, I no longer struggle with my character, but the Warlock and the Monk still need time to figure out what to do. The Warrior, however, is struggling a lot with the rules and the dice. Jake has enough and starts making passive-aggressive remarks toward him. Jake, the tutorial is supposed to end soon, but you guys are not ready. You take too much time to progress in the story. We wanted to get back to Sea City, but the Warlock's patron wanted us to continue to the island. At this point, I'm extremely suspicious towards the Warlock, so I start asking questions. And this is where the first remark came from Jake toward me. You're too paranoid, poster. Am I paranoid, or am I reacting accordingly in a world where we constantly get betrayed? I wonder. This is where we reach level 3. Session 5. This time, it's my turn to miss a session. I was extremely sick. I couldn't get up out of bed. The only thing I know is the session went pretty bad. Jake lost his temper, the Warlock too. 3 days later, Jake called me on my phone and he told me what happened during the session. It seems that the group reached the strange island and found a dungeon on it. However, they made no progress at all according to him. They only inspected 1 or 2 rooms in 3 hours. He was extremely frustrated towards Joe and the Warrior, who constantly struggle with their dice rolls and how to play the characters. On his side, Joe told me that he doesn't want to do another session like this. He said that this is supposed to be a fun game, but it's too stressful to enjoy it according to him. I can't agree more with him. But how can we satisfy the expectations of everyone? Maybe there are some progress we can make? The Warlock, after discussing with me, decides to help his fellow players because Jake doesn't have time and has an adult life. He makes a very good summary of the basic rules, the dice, and the calculations to make. He even spent time with Joe and the Warrior to help them learn the rules. A few days later, it has been decided that Joe will no longer play a cleric because Joe struggles too much with the difficulty of his character. He will now play a rogue. Jake asked me to help him make his new character sheet. Joe decides to play an assassin rogue as a subclass. Jake, no, not assassin, it sucks. Poster, huh? Okay. Thief then? It was his second choice. Jake, nah, it's not good enough. Jake decided to make Joe's character a swashbuckler rogue. Session 6. Warrior doesn't come to play this time. Susie takes his character sheet to play the character. I finally discover what the dungeon is about. A lot of traps everywhere, and monsters. Every action we make, we need to be very specific about what we say. For instance, we need to say specifically that we act without making noise in order to roll a stealth check. Otherwise, we make no rolls and we are instantly punished. No wonder we take a lot of time to progress. It's our first dungeon after all. Sometimes Jake does everything to make us doubt ourselves. Jake with a concerned look. Poster, I think you should not step here, but rather here. Poster, oh, okay, then I walk here. Jake with a grin. You activated a trap. Make a dex saving throw. So yeah, not only I can't trust most NPCs, even some of the PCs, now I learned in this dungeon that I can't trust Jake himself, who seems to be a sadist. Alright. Continuing with the story, we are now on session 7. So everyone is here. We finally reached the end of the dungeon, and guess what? It turns out that the 2 previous assassins that we escaped from in Sea City were here. The patron of the Warlock is none other than the BBEG. The Warlock had no idea about it and thought his patron was someone else. The BBEG was waiting for us, and all his allies were also here.
Mother, I crave violence.
It also turns out that the master of my character was here, allied with the BBAG. Jake did not tell me beforehand, of course, that he would make some changes in my lore. We end up being tortured and imprisoned for eternity. Session ends. A few days pass and we receive a call from Jake. His wife Susie wants to join us. We accept, and now we are 6 players. She will play a ranger, a very special one apparently. But most importantly, the tutorial is now over. He prepared a one-shot session in which we will face our first deadly encounter as a test. You were not ready, he keeps saying with a grin. You will die, he keeps saying. Alright, so part 1 is now over. Moving on to part 2. So here's the cast. So we got the poster, who is a wizard and healer homebrew, Joe the rogue, a longtime friend of his, the warlock, Joe's friend and ex-co-worker, the monk, warlock's wife, the warrior, warlock's friend, Jake the DM, self-proclaimed veteran player and DM, Susie the ranger, Jake's wife. So, Jake has decided to make a one-shot session in between the campaign. His aim is to show us what a deadly encounter is. We have only done 7 sessions at this point, and we all started as beginners. So, session 7, level 4, Susie is now part of the group, and it's her first ever session in the one-shot. 3 days before, I received a text message from Jake. He wants to nerf my character. Huh? The class that he made for me is too strong for his taste, so he asked me to figure out together what modification we will make. To put it simple, my wizard works like an average wizard, but instead of having a school specialization such as illusion or transmutation, he can memorize some healing spells. He also has an ability that he can use twice per long rest. It allows him to cast a healing spell that regenerates a very small amount of HP each turn for 10 turns. I reminded him that without that ability, we would have 100% TPK'd at the very first session. Jake: yeah, but I still want to nerf it. I don't like it. There are a lot of homebrew subclasses on the internet, so I figured I may find something interesting. I find a homebrew wizard subclass that matches the lore of my character, so I sent it to Jake, telling him this is how I view my character. Jake: no, that's garbage. You will become useless. Okay, so he basically calls his homebrew character garbage. So, poster sends him another one. Jake: no, it's not good enough. Third one, Jake: nope, that's not what I want to do with your character. I thought we were supposed to figure this out together. I hid my frustration and just tell him it's fine and to contact me again once he finds out what to do. The next day he calls me and tells me what has changed. He changed the ability, now it can be used 5 times per rest. It heals the same amount of HP than before but lasts 5 turns. It can also give damage resistance for now on. He then put a tirade complaining how he doesn't have time to do all this. He has an adult life. He's a parent. Ooh. So he shouldn't put as much time on this. I will certainly understand once I become a parent as well, he said. One day you will understand what it means to be an adult. Ouch. What the fuck? I'm 31 and he's 34. Yeah, I do not have kids and I was single, but that doesn't make him superior to me when it comes to being an adult. What's wrong with this guy? And he is the one who wanted to nerf my character. He is the one who made this homebrew subclass in the first place. Unfortunately, I didn't say anything. I just told him that we could abandon his homebrew class and make me become a cleric or a bard if he wants, so he won't have to spend time balancing my character. Jake: nope, it's fine. We keep things like that. I want to see how it works. We will probably nerf it again in the future if needed, though. Alright. Okay then, but remember I didn't force you to do this. A few days later, the one-shot session is about to begin. This time we did not meet IRL, we play on Foundry for the first time ever, but there is an issue, a big one. Joe and Warrior cancelled a few hours before. Jake maintained the session nonetheless and gave their characters to us. So the Warlock will control the Warrior, and I will control Joe's character. The session begins. Not only we have to figure out how Foundry works, I also need to figure out how to play the rogue. We are all aware that the incoming fight will be extremely difficult. I already feel anxious and overwhelmed. I didn't even want to play, but here we are. Maybe 2 players didn't come to play for the same reasons. Who knows? So we had a mission. There is a warehouse in which lies shady activities. We had to defeat the occupants to put it to an end. It's midnight. There's a lookout in front of the entrance. We do our best to avoid him and recon around the warehouse to get as much information that we can. There was a door in front and another one in the back. At some point we managed to put Susie and the rogue on the roof of the warehouse so they could peek into the inside with a window. We discovered that there were at least 16 people in it, all enemies of course. We also discovered that there is a lot of type of enemies such as a bard, a swashbuckler, and even a barbarian who seem to be the boss. Yeah, this is the day we learned that Jake built his NPCs with a player character sheet. The barbarian boss had a dark aura. Thanks to an arcana check, we discover that he can reflect any damage done against him. We have no idea what we were supposed to fight. We argue a lot until Jake loses patience and forces us to act. We decide first to kill the lookout as discreetly as possible. It took the combined attacks of 4 of us to bring him down to 0 HP. According to Jake, we have done 27 damage. Poster. So all the enemies inside are as strong as this guy? Jake, he was the weakest, actually. I realized that's more HP than most of us at level 4. The rogue has only 22 HP, the monk 24, the ranger 25. We then collectively failed our stealth check and the fight is about to begin. Completely panicked, we kill another guy who went to check the door where the lookout was and decide to hide inside of a house just in front of the warehouse. The rogue and Susie are left on the roof. Both of them are waiting to shoot the first guy who comes out. The first turn passes, no enemy goes outside. The same thing happens during the second turn, nothing. The warlock, what's happening? Why nobody come outside? Silence, Jake doesn't respond. Poster, is there something we misunderstood? Jake, I'm winning strategically. Change your plans or you will die. Poster, what do you mean? Jake, they won't go to the front door if they know there are archers on the roof. Use your brains. Susie decides to go watch inside of the warehouse once again through the window. We realize that half of the enemies are moving to the back and not in the front. They seem to know where we are and they plan to surround us and attack those on the roof. She tries to cast Fog Cloud. Unfortunately, one of the enemies spotted her and used her reaction to attack her with a crossbow before she can cast it. She fails her constitution check, so she can't cast her spell. I realize now that Jake was also bullshitting the rules. Then some enemies go to the roof to attack Susie and the rogue. Both of them are already near death. Jake, make a constitution save, those who hid in the house. Me, the warlock, and the monk. Why? Then Jake describes that the bard opened the front door, saw us through the window of the house, and cast Shatter. Then go inside of the warehouse and close the door. Poster, but I thought they wouldn't go through the front door. Jake, they're organized. Poster, it's midnight and he is able to see us? Silence. Did you use stealth to hide? Did you say you hid somewhere? Jake, no. Jake, then he can see all of you. Was Jake metagaming against us? Yes, he definitely was. Unfortunately, I had no idea at the time. In your mouth! I didn't even know what metagaming was. I just felt that it was incredibly unfair, that's all. I didn't know what challenge rating or CR was either. Most of our enemies had between 1 and 4 CR. The barbarian was probably 9 or 10. This fight was not deadly, it was over deadly. Me and the warlock called an end to the session. We didn't want to continue and we were both pissed. The monk was about to cry and Susie was frustrated. Jake told us that we were not good enough, not strategic enough, and we panicked for nothing. This is where we should have parted ways. Unfortunately, we didn't and we agreed to stay in this campaign. Jake convinced us that things would get better as we gain more experience. It will not get better at all. Also, Jake and Susie chose that moment to announce to us that Susie was pregnant. Susie, who just joined our group, reassured us, told us her pregnancy will go just fine and it will never negatively impact the campaign. Oh, really? Unfortunately, it will. But we are continuing on with part 3. So, the cast, we got the poster, who's the wizard and healer homebrew. Yeah, that's right. They kept that. They didn't change it, so he's still that. He's just nerfed it. Joe the rogue, longtime friend. Dave the warlock, Joe's friend and ex-coworker. Minerva the monk, Dave's wife. Butters the warrior, Dave's friend. Jake the DM, self-proclaimed veteran player and DM. Susie the ranger, Jake's wife. The warehouse one-shot session ended before we could die. However, Jake has decided it was a TPK. There were a lot of back and forth. We told him this fight was way too difficult for us. His answer? My other group managed to beat it, so it's perfectly feasible. You guys are not strategic enough. You never set up flanking, for instance. You see, Jake has another group, a group of longtime friends of his for which he runs the same campaign for almost 3 years, so they are 2 years ahead of us. From now on, every time you complain or tell him it's too difficult, he answers, "The other group did it. You should be able to do the same." He'll also make a lot of comparison, telling us how the other group is smarter and quicker. While I'm writing this, I still can't believe we put up with this for so long. I definitely hold myself accountable at this point. We're all beginners just like us. Jake, their warlock is a veteran just like me. Their paladin was already experienced too. The other three were beginners. The poster. So our situation is not the same. Jake, yes it is. 3 of them are beginners. They learned pretty fast, and now they know how to play their characters. I tried to explain to him the dynamic can't be the same if at least 1 or 2 players are experienced in their group. He did not listen. Jake, my main issue is you guys take too much time to learn the rules and how to play your characters. Susie, who just joined, has learned faster than any of you. Poster, well, obviously each individual learn at their own pace. The back and forth lasted for 1 hour. It's revealed later that the warlock of the group seems to be a power gamer. Apparently he is a hexblade with warrior multiclass. He bragged about how he killed one of the bosses in 1 turn by himself. I also learned that Jake tried to convince Dave to make the same build for months, but he has always refused. Jake tries 1 more time until Dave completely snaps and yells at him, "No, he will not multiclass into a warrior." How many times must he say that? Our call ends with the issue of Butters and Joe. They missed too many sessions and Jake is considering kicking them, so he asked the warlock to have a discussion with them. We almost ended the campaign here, but Jake assured us that things will get better. Unfortunately, we were foolish enough to trust his words. A few days later, Butter leaves the campaign. Dave told me that Butters doesn't like the campaign at all. He doesn't like Jake either, because he was rude to him. Butters was too afraid of confrontation to say so. That's why he didn't say anything until now. Joe, however, is struggling with his work, health and family. That's why he missed so many sessions. He told me that he cares more about hanging out with us than playing the campaign itself. 5 players. We could have been fine to continue like this. However, Jake asked us to recruit a new player who would play a paladin or a warrior, because according to him, we need a tank and someone who can wear the magical armor that we got on the island. This armor is very important to the plot, apparently. One might call it plot armor. Okay, moving on. I am about to do my worst mistake. Yeah, I invited a longtime friend of mine, hoping that his presence would make the game more enjoyable. I still regret to this day. Sorry, dude. Connor, friend to both me and Joe, will join the 8th session and play a paladin. A few days before the 8th session starts, I spent some time with him to help him learn the rules and how to play his character. There's one issue though. He has only 31 HP at level 4 despite having 18 constitution. I called Jake asking him why he has so few HP. Jake, well, he hasn't been lucky with the dice. Poster, but 31 HP for a tank is in a deadly campaign. Maybe you should allow him to roll once more. Jake, no, don't worry. He has at least 28 C. He is fine the way he is. Connor makes the decision to take the lucky feat in case he takes critical hits. So, moving on, session 8. We wake up still on the island after the BBG imprisoned us with a magical prison that was supposed to last for eternity. Dave is the one who liberated us, breaking the prison with a strange 2-handed sword. He is now a hexblade and seems to have made a new pact. However, he refuses to tell us who the pact is with. I don't trust his character anymore since his previous pact was with the BBG. I tried to make an arcana check on his blade to figure out if the blade was evil or not. I roll a nat 20. For the context in this campaign, when we roll a 1, some disaster will happen, such as breaking a weapon or injuring an ally. On the other hand, if we roll a 20, the opposite is supposed to happen. So, Jake, Dave, roll your weapon's damage. Dave, why? I didn't make an attack. Jake, just do it. Dave, 14 damage. Poster, you take 14 damage from the blade. The blade defended itself since you discovered who it might be. Okay, fine. Then who is it? Jake, you don't know. Just before you discovered who it was, the blade made you forget everything. You're telling me that I took 14 damage for nothing? How am I supposed to trust Dave's character now after his blade attacked me? You don't remember you got attacked either. What? Okay. I then try to ask the other players how their characters react when they see me getting attacked by the blade. They don't remember. Nobody remembers. What? But why? Yeah, the blade has made you all forget about this, so my character took 14 damage and nobody knows why? Yeah. What the fuck? Oh my god. Jake is basically like this. You can't do anything. He's so fucking smug right now about this. Alright, so Poster got angry for the first time, complained to Jake and told him that it was unfair. He made it look like I rolled a 1 at this point. Why make me roll dice in the first place? Besides, how my character is supposed to trust his companions after everything that happened? I have no idea what's going on at this point. Jake, roll for intelligence. Don't forget your character is very intelligent. He knows he must ally with them because they are the only ones who know how about the BBEG. Yeah, from now on, every time I will argue with Jake in-game, he'll tell me to roll for intelligence. I almost tried to sabotage the game by making my character check the blade again and again until he dies, but I didn't want to ruin the experience for the other players. Plus, they all seemed to agree with Jake, and they told me to let it go. Out of frustration, I said that until Dave's character and mine have a discussion, I will not trust him. Therefore, I will not heal him. I know I shouldn't have reacted like this, but at this point, I was done being played all the time. The noble we were supposed to escort and protect was dead, so is the reward. We met a crazy and very powerful mage NPC who teleports us back to Sea City. We realize that 6 months have passed in the game. The Sea City is now blockaded by a strange huge ship, raided by orcs, and surrounded by hordes of zombies. Butter's character leaves our group telling us we are crazy. He wants to go back to his family. We decide to go to the tavern, and this is where we meet Susie and Connor's characters for the first time. We spend time making our presentations and discussing the situation at Sea City until the city is under attack by a group of orcs. End of session. And that is the end of part 4. We will read parts 5 through 8 tomorrow. That is it from me for today, everyone. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I am looking forward to doing more of these reading segments and sharing them with you. Please, if you have something that you would like me to read, see the description down below to join the Discord server. I'm working on a business email as well, but so the easiest place is to join the Discord server. I'll have the link in the description. Thank you once again, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye-bye.